Hey guys, Super FPV here, back here with another video. And before we start with this, remember to subscribe if you want more content just like this, and let's get started. So today's video is a very anticipated video because I've been hinting towards this for quite some time now. This is the budget build. This is the best budget build, in my opinion, under $150. The reason that this video is kind of delayed and it hasn't come out, and after hinting it towards it for like about 3 videos now, is because I've been trying different parts out and trying to get good footage since the weather's been really bad and everything. But let's get started. This thing is spectacular. This thing is amazing. Getting about 4-minute flight time in about 3-minute 45 seconds with like super aggressive flights, and it's spectacular. It's really great, really decently efficient, and amazing for the price. You can get some of these 3D printed parts as well under the $150 mark, and it's great. This is just an amazing build. It flies very similar to my normal build, which is about $250. And this thing is spectacular. I just have so much to talk about because this build is amazing for $150. I would not suggest anyone else building anything else for $150 because this is great. This is amazing. Let's get started. So I'm going to give you a brief overview of the parts that I chose just because I know a decent amount of you just kind of want to know the parts and then click off the video. But I'm going to go deep dive into what each of the individual parts do in a little bit. But let me give you a brief overview of what we have going on right here. This is the TBS Source 1 frame with a few little legs that I got off of Amazon. We have the Mamba F405 stack in the middle. We have a Foxeer Aero Micro Pro, the eyes of the operation. We have a Panda RC VT805 in the back, and then we have a Foxeer Lollipop 3 in the back as well. That's our antenna. And then we have the Emax Eco 2306 2400 kV motors. These are great motors. They come in other kVs as well. And yeah, that's about it. That's a brief overview of the whole thing. I run it on 4S, so that's why I chose 2400 kV. But we'll talk more about that in a little bit. That's a brief overview. Now let's go dive deeper into why I chose the parts that I did. So let's talk about the frame. I think that's the first thing that I want to talk about because it's the biggest thing of the quad. This is a $25 frame, believe it or not, because of the look how great it is. Look how great of a frame this is. For $25, you're getting such a great frame. You're getting thick arms, a great mounting mechanism in the middle. That way, it prevents like some of the from the arms from breaking that easily. Like it's got a great mounting mechanism, a lot of space in the middle, great mounting mechanism for the camera as well. As you can see, there's 3 screws in the middle right there. I have not lost even a single degree of angle whatsoever. Like it's been almost permanently at that spot because of that great mounting mechanism for the camera. For about $25, this is spectacular. It doesn't come with any other accessories other than this anti-slip pad in the back, but it is amazing. So again, it doesn't come with any of the accessories that you see, like the GoPro mount or this little front guard or the antenna mount in the back that I had to have actually printed out from a different company. But this frame is spectacular. It's really nice, really wide. It's got that Squish X frame. If you want to know more about frames, I have a whole frame video on my channel. But yeah, it's got that Squish X design. It's got a lot of space in the middle for any of the new builders. If you're worried about fitting all your electronics into a small space, this has great space in the inside. And again, reiterating, it's got great mounting in the front. It's got great mounting in the middle. It's just an overall great frame. Thick arms, well, decently thick arms. They're not super thick. They're not the thickest arms ever, but they're decently thick arms. And overall, I think this is such a great frame for $25. Yeah, I think it's just a spectacular frame. If you want the 3D printed files, I will have a few of them in the description if you want to 3D print stuff yourself or get a certain company to print out stuff for you. There are a lot of cheap companies out there who'll print out stuff for you. So yeah, that's it for the frame. I think people actually want to talk more about the internals of it. I think frame is kind of a preference thing, but in my opinion, for under $150 build, this is amazing for a frame. This will actually cut a lot of your a frame can actually cut a lot of your budget, and a $25 frame, that's hard to beat, especially this one. So yeah. So next up, let's talk about the stack. This is the Mamba F405 stack. I've talked many a praise about this stack because it's a spectacular stack. I think this is just one of the best stacks you can get as a beginner, and I've said stack a million times, but this is just a great flight controller and ESC combo. I think it's amazing. For about 45-ish bucks, you're getting a very versatile F405 flight controller, and you're getting a 40 amp ESC. I chose the 40 amp ESC because these motors don't really draw that much amps. I think they're actually relatively pretty efficient. So 40 amp ESC should be more than enough. If you're worried about how to actually wire up this Mamba F405, I made a whole video specifically actually about the F405 wiring, but you know, you can use that video for other flight controllers as well if you decide to not use the F405 stack. But this is a great stack for about 45 bucks max. I've seen 45 bucks max. I actually got it for 40 bucks. So a very, very good stack, a very good deal, and it's great. There's nothing more I can talk about other than the fact that this is a great stack. So let's talk about these motors. These are the Emax Eco 2-line 2306 size 2400 kV motors because I run 4S and I like 2306. They do come in 2207 size and various other KVs for 5S and 6S. And these are $12 a piece. Can you believe that? $12 a piece. Last time I paid for a $12 motor was those blue ones on the side right there, and they were crap. They sucked. But primarily I bought those because, you know, I was a beginner and I was gonna crash a lot, so I didn't expect to actually buy more expensive motors. But these are no slouch, like at all. These are great. They seem to be very durable. I've put about 30 batteries through this quad. Crashed them a few times. Especially in the motor side, I've crashed them a few times, and these have been very durable. These are very durable motors. The way they probably cheapened out is probably the metal they used in the bell, and the magnets aren't probably as strong as your $20 motor or $25 motors, obviously, because you're getting a $12 motor. But at times, I think to myself, why would I spend anything more than $12 on a motor anymore? Just because of how great these are. Motors are one of the things that people break pretty often, and for a budget drone, especially if you're beginning and starting out, getting a $12 motor goes a long way, because when you break a motor, it's only $12 versus sometimes when I break a motor on this quad, my main quad, that's like $25 per motor I break, which I haven't broken that often because you know, they are relatively more durable than a $12 motor would be, but these are spectacular. I think these are great motors. If you can see in the clip that I'm showing right now, there's a little gel at the bottom. The little gel at the bottom actually kind of protects the motor screws from penetrating into the motor wiring, and that's such a unique thing that not many motor manufacturers actually offer, even in the more expensive motors. And for $12, that's such a nice touch. Like, again, going back to the fact that I think to myself, why would I spend any more than $12 on a motor anymore? It's spectacular. It's such a great motor. They come in 2100 kV, I believe, and 1800 kV, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. If I am wrong, I'll probably put the KVs right here. That's for 6S and 5S, and these are 2400 kV for 4S because I run 4S. I haven't made the switch to 6S yet, and I believe for beginners, I think 4S is great, especially because the batteries are relatively cheaper as well, and you're probably starting out FPV with a certain budget, and 4S batteries are cheaper. But yeah, these are great motors. I just can't talk too much about the motors because I don't know what else to talk about, but these are great motors. I chose them because of their price point and their value. Very, very good value. So this is the Foxeer Aero Micro Pro, a spectacular camera. At $20, you're getting a 600 TV line CCD sensor. This is I got this one with the 1.8 millimeter lens on it, so I'm getting a much wider field of view than the other option, which I believe is 2.1 millimeter. It's micro sized, so you probably need a little adapter that I have right here. You can see the little white shroud. This little clear white shroud that I have in there. You you definitely need to buy one of those adapters. I think the adapter was like $2. I'll link that in the description as well for you to buy. It's a spectacular camera. I think it's just amazing. For $20, you're getting a lot. You're getting decent color, decent detail. I actually made a video comparing this camera to my more expensive $50 camera that I have on my main quad, and the difference you can see in that video is all in the eye of the beholder. So this thing is spectacular. It's great. It's a great camera for the money. If you were to upgrade the camera to get a little bit more color and a little bit more detail, I would suggest the Runcam Phoenix. Phoenix 2, the Runcam Phoenix 2. That camera is great. For $27, I believe, you can get that camera as well. But this is a spectacular camera indeed. The main reason I chose this was because of the price and the value. You're getting a great camera for the price. So one of the last important components I want to talk about is the VTX in the back. It's really hard to see because I have it mounted back there. That's why I'm going to be rolling a few clips through of a little bit of a B-roll footage I got before I actually put it into the quad. This is a great VTX. I have it mounted in the back right here. I like mounting my VTXs in the back because you can get extra airflow. I talked about that in my 7-inch build as well. Getting airflow in the back is important in my eyes, especially for a VTX. Great VTX goes up to 600 milliwatts, which is a decent amount of power, especially for, I believe this was $15, a $15 VTX. You're getting IRC tramp protocol, so you can actually software change the output, power output, and the channel output, and you can change it through your controller as well, through stick commands. A spectacular value at $15. This is such a great value for $15. For $15, like, it's cheaper than the camera. Like, it's such a great value. This is the cheapest worth having, in my opinion. Great VTX, even has IRC tramp, which is a great protocol. It's wonderful. You can change. You don't have to go in there and actually click the manual button to change the power output or the signal, or the channel that you're using. It's just, you can use software. You can use Betaflight, or you can use stick commands. That's a great feature for a $15 VTX. That is a spectacular feature to have. It's wonderful. I think this is a great VTX. 600 milliwatt output, and it's got the MMCX connector. You can see right there, it's got the MMCX connector, which is my favorite connector. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the VTX. A little bit more about the VTX is that it can get relatively hot, and if the VTX backing does touch any sort of carbon, you can get a little bit of noise in your video feed. So I put a little bit of duct tape around the VTX. That's just a little warning. I put a little duct tape around the VTX so it doesn't touch the carbon and causes weird noise. I don't know why it happens like that, but it did happen for me. So that's how I combated that issue. But yeah, otherwise it's a spectacular VTX for just $15. So next up, I kind of want to speed fire through some of the other things that I added on to the quad. This is the Foxeer Lollipop 3 antenna. You can always choose a different antenna if you would like to. This is just my preference of antenna. This is an antenna that I have on pretty much every single one of my quads. I have it on, again, my main quad. I have it on there. It's just a great antenna in my opinion. It sticks out farther enough for freestyle quads, and it's great. It's got a great signal. Great clean signal. I think it's great. I've also added a capacitor. I always add a capacitor. I always say to add a capacitor. I made a whole video about capacitors, and that's why I have one on here. I know it's hard to see. You can't really see it, but it's like right there. There's a capacitor in there. 1000 microfarad, 35 volt capacitor. Great capacitor. I would suggest everyone putting a capacitor on their quads. Just to filter out a few of the little noise. I made a whole video about that if you want to know why I choose to put capacitors on every single one of my quads. But yeah, I put a capacitor on there as well. So let's talk about some of the 3D printed parts that I have on here. I have a GoPro mount, and I have a little front guard for when I crash in the front. This will protect from the front from chiseling out, like the front carbon from chiseling out. And then I have a VTX antenna holder bracket right here in the back. All of these 3D parts combined was about $15 at my local library. I got all the 3D printed files and got them printed out at the library. If you have a library near you and they have an available 3D printer, that's the cheapest way you can get it 3D printed. Or you can go to like Brain 3D, or there's this other website as well, B3CMO or something like that. I'll put two of the main websites that I would recommend for 3D printed parts if you want a 3D printed GoPro mount or 3D printed VTX mount in the back and stuff like that. My receiver of choice is Tracer. That's just my receiver of choice because I have Tracer. If you don't have Tracer, obviously you can put XM Plus, you can put Crossfire, you can put whatever you want. It all works with that flight controller because it's such a spectacular flight controller. So let's talk about the props real quick. I know it's hard to read, but the etching on the side says 5 by 4.3 by 3. These are HQ props. I predominantly fly HQ props because of the durability and longevity of their propellers. They are relatively on the steep side. Per 4 is $3. Sometimes some HQ props can be up to $4, but they're between $3 and $4. But one pack of propellers can last you a while if you don't crash that often. But if you crash pretty often, you really only need like 2 pairs of props because they're pretty durable. These things can take a beating. Like they can take quite a beating. That's pretty much all I can say. I think HQ props are great. The pitch on these props are actually pretty good for these motors, for this KV and this motor size. It gives it a decent amount of thrust. A 5 by 4.3, great pitch, great size. They're 5-inch props and they're 3-blade. I run 4-blade on this. That's because these motors are 2550 kV and the extra 1 blade does negate a little bit of the thrust, and having my extra kV kind of evens that out. But these props are great for these motors. Again, I'll link everything in the description below. And lastly, I want to talk about these little feet that I have on here. I got it from Amazon. I got a pack of two sets of feet. And if you watch my 7-inch video, I have the same feet on there, but it was black. And it came with a black pair and a red pair, so I didn't have another black pair, so I slapped the red pair on here. But for you probably could get, if you want to, you can put the black pair on here if you don't have another quad that you want to put the feet on. But yeah, I think this is great. The other option is if you want 3D printed feet, you can get 3D printed feet like this. On my main quad, you can get 3D printed feet like this. These were only like $10-12 for a set of 2. These are completely optional. You don't need it. But in my eyes, it was kind of worth it for me to get a pair of these feet, just because I like the extra lift off the ground, because it doesn't damage the components that I have sticking out on the bottom, or like the screws that I have on the bottom, or the zip ties that I have on the bottom. So that was my reasoning for those feet. But yeah, that pretty much concludes the entirety of the video. This is a spectacular drone, decent amount of thrust, great flight time between about 3 to 4 minutes, sometimes 4.5 minutes if you're really cruising. So let's talk about how this thing flies. This thing flies amazing. This thing flies spectacular. It has a lot of thrust for these motors. These motors bring about a lot of thrust, especially paired with these propellers. I get about 3.5 minutes to 4.5 minutes, sometimes 5 minutes if I'm really just cruising around, which is great flight time for a freestyle drone. I think it's really efficient. I think it's decently efficient, not really efficient, but like decently efficient with these propellers and these motors and the weight of the entirety of the drone. I don't have a scale, so I can't tell you how much this drone actually weighs, but it weighs a decent amount. But it's great. It's got great flight time, great flight characteristics. I put a slight tune on Betaflight. I'll put the tune in the description. If you actually do build the same thing, I'll put the tune in the description. But it's great. It's basically running stock Betaflight with a little bit of tweaking, but it's a great quad. It flies really great. You can see the flight footage. It flies really nice and smooth on flips and rolls. There's not that much prop wash. There's prop wash, of course. I'm not really the best tuner in the world, but I'm pretty sure a great tuner could probably tune that out. But if you want this thing to go up and flying, it flies great on stock Betaflight. If you're too worried to tune things, you know, you don't have to tune it, but I do have a few of my tuning notes in the description for you guys. If you build this exact same thing, exact same configuration, that tuning notes will help it fly a little bit better. So that's it for the video pretty much. This is the budget build, about 150 bucks. I think that's a great budget for your first quad, especially if you want something relatively durable and long lasting and upgradable as well. Everything in here is upgradable, you know, which is the primary thing that I think most beginner builders kind of forget about, is upgradability with their quads. And this is a great upgradable quad, great flying quad, a great budget quad, and actually even non a budget quad. Like, this thing flies really well, very similar to my main quad, which is amazing. For about 150 bucks, this is a great quad. Hopefully you found the information that I explained to you in this video helpful. If you do choose the parts that I chose, comment down below and I'll give you a little thumbs up and a little thank you for choosing the parts that I chose and valuing my opinions, I guess. But if you do not choose the parts that I chose, no biggie. You know, let me know what parts you chose or what parts you plan on choosing, and I'll be sure to comment on them and help you out if you need any help choosing out the parts. And stuff like that. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Remember to leave a comment, like the video if you do like it, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Or yeah, that's pretty much it. Just subscribe if you're new to the channel, please. But that's about it. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.